Hello and welcome back to These Blind Eyes 6580. First off, don't forget to subscribe, share, like, all that good stuff. Check out the podcasts, Little MB and Seeking God with Blind Eyes. Now today is going to be an easy thing to make. If you can make a sandwich, then you can make one of these. And you ask, why grill the sandwich? And it's because it takes it up a whole nother level. It just completely changes it, the way everything binds together. And if you hear any yipping, it's my mom's dog outside. But anyways, back to the sandwiches. It just takes it to a whole nother level. And if you don't want to do a full sandwich like what I'm doing now, you can do a grilled cheese. You know, I'm using a griddle. That's, for me, that's best because it's flat. But you can really use any kind of pan that'll hold a sandwich in it. So I'm not making a sandwich in front of you, but I'll tell you what I have put on them. On the bottom slice, I put mayo. If I had onion sliced or chopped, I'd put onion on the bottom slice of bread after the mayo. I don't with this though. Then comes my turkey. Then comes the jalapeno slices. Then comes the slices, one slice of pepper jack cheese per sandwich. I'm making two of them. And then on the top slice, I put my mustard. Now, I couldn't make up my mind today, so on one of them, I've got spicy brown mustard. On the other one, I've got a horseradish mustard. When you do this, before you start making your sandwiches, if you have butter, whatever you want to use, once again, I use Country Crock margarine. I know it's not supposed to be all that healthy, but it has a much higher burn temperature than even butter. So that's not really an issue, so I like using that. Plus, it's easier to spread. I set that out first. That way it will soften as it starts going down toward room temperature. It'll soften and make it even easier to spread. And I use that stuff to butter both sides. I start with the sandwiches upside down. And there's two ways of doing this. You can either get your pan to temperature first, or do what I do and have your sandwiches on your griddle and then turn the burner on. I do it that way because it heats up slower and you're guaranteed to get your cheese melted that way. And that's why I start them upside down as well. Because it gets that cheese to melt, really binds in with the mustard and jalapeno slices and all that good stuff. Now, every stove is different and everybody cooks different. My stove, the way the burner works is the 3 o'clock is the lowest temp possible, the lowest flame. I've got a gas stove. 9 o'clock's the highest. Now, when I turn mine on, I put it somewhere between 6 and 7 o'clock. And it's going to take a little bit. Now, when you can't see, like me, like I said, this is easy to do. But it's paying attention to what it sounds like. I don't know if you'll be able to hear it on this or not, but when it starts getting up to temp and cooking, you'll hear it sizzling and frying and stuff. And then once it starts to slow down, plus you'll be able to smell the bread is toasting. You'll know it's about time to flip it. I always feel the sandwich after I flip it, the top slice, the slice that just came off the bottom, so I know if it's done. And also, it's making sure my sandwich is still squared away, that it didn't slide or anything like that, any of the pieces. But it's a pretty simple thing to do, and like I said, if you aren't comfortable doing it with a sandwich, practice with just grilled cheeses, because it's the same thing, only without the meat and toppings and all the other stuff you put on it. So right now, like I said, I'm just waiting for this to get some heat and start cooking itself. But if you've watched any of my fitness videos, I've been talking about doing a podcast episode with Brittany, who I've talked about so many times on here. Keep having technical difficulties, but she's still willing, and we're still planning on trying to get that done. I'm trying to figure out what the issue is so it can be resolved. But you'll have that from time to time. And of course, it seems like these things are, well, they're starting now. You ain't going to be able to hear it, but they're starting to get the temp. Now, when it comes to flipping these, go in as flat as possible, just like what I described with the eggs when you're doing your sausage, egg, and cheese biscuits on that video. You go in as flat as possible, and the goal when you're flipping your sandwich is essentially to just kind of flip your wrist to where the spatula, it's where it is on bottom when you're starting, ends up on top. Sandwich moves as little as possible. Takes some practice sometimes. And like I said, do a grilled cheese to practice that if you have to. Or fry your eggs if you have to. Whatever the case may be. Because when it comes down to it, cooking's no different than anything else. The more you do it, the better you're going to get at it. You know? I always hate when I get out of the habit of cooking, because you can forget just the littlest, slightest trick, and it can throw your game off a little bit. Yeah, I don't think you're going to be able to hear this on the video. Part of it's because since it's going so slow as far as heating up, it's toasting and getting done prior. I don't know how to explain it. You'll hear it sizzle though when I flip it. And right now I'm starting to smell it, so I'm going to flip one of these sandwiches. See, now you can hear that, possibly. I may have to put those back on the top just for a minute or two, but I can definitely hear the difference because the pan's already hot when I flipped it. So a lot of it, like I said, is by smell, because it was smell that was like, all right, I need to check to see how it's doing. I mean, you know what toast smells like, so you just really gotta, I don't know. When you're blind, you just have to pay so much closer attention to what you're doing in the kitchen than what other people do. It's frustrating for me because my mom can run around the kitchen and be doing all kinds of other things and just glance over at the stove. Obviously, we can't do that, so. But the sizzling, it's starting to slow down a little bit. Because, like I said, it don't take long once this gets hot to toast the bread. Like I said, I'm feeling the bread, making sure that it's toasted to the degree that I like. And like I said, man, I'll tell you what, there's just something about the way grilling a sandwich just binds the flavors together so much. it almost makes it to where I don't even want to bother with sandwiches unless I'm going to take the time to grill it. And if you're going to do like me right now and do two at once, you're really going to have to pay a lot more attention to how your sandwiches land. Just on kind of them landing on each other and stuff like that. But I'll tell you what, they're back on the bottoms with the tops of the sandwich up. And they are just about done. They smell great, that's for sure. All right, and that is that. And I'll tell you what, like I said, these sandwiches, I don't know if people who can see or not, but man, they are amazing. So if you have any questions or comments, because like I said, it's just that easy. So questions or comments, hit me up at littlemb6580 at gmail.com.